this episode, we're going to talk truck training, and there's a lot of things you need to look forward to, especially if you're new to the industry. And we're going to talk about carriers and whether you should sign on with them. A lot of carriers are starting to offer their own training programs, and you need to think about whether that's a good idea or not. So we're going to talk about some of those things. We're also going to talk about location and area of operation. That's one of the first things you want to think about if you're signing on with a carrier. Where do they go? What do they do? What are you going to have to do? That's the first thing you have to talk about and think about. Are they going to get you home? Do you want quality home time? Is something that's really important. The next thing that's important is their equipment. Do they have the equipment to help you do what you want to do? I mean, it's going to be really something. If you driving crap equipment, I remember when I used to start in the industry, I used to go back and I used to check all the dumpy trucks in the back of a carrier's yard, assuming that was going to be my truck. So if it had a license plate on it and it was parked in the back corner and it looked like it was rusting out or something that people didn't drive on a regular basis, I assumed that was my truck. And if I was willing to drive that truck and fix it up and keep it as my own, then I would check that carrier and sign on. If not, I would move on. So equipment was very important for me. The next step you want to look for, if you're looking for that, is future career development. You know, it's great, especially mom and pop companies. They're awesome companies. You feel like family. They treat you well. But sometimes there's nowhere to go. So down the road, if you decide you want to move on to somewhere else, or you want to move out of the truck, maybe you want to move into a training aspect, something like that, is there a way for you to do that? So if there is a way for you to do that, larger companies obviously can offer you that. Smaller companies can't always offer you that, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't go work there. I'm just saying that might be something that you want to think about if you're planning on getting out of the truck after a certain amount of years and moving into other operations. So what is the future looking like for that carrier is probably the biggest question. And then, of course, let's get to training. So if you're being offered training at a company, they are expecting you to be there for a certain amount of time, but is that company giving you quality training, or are they just giving you enough training to get in the seat? That is the difference. A lot of people get involved with carriers to find out that they're not the greatest carrier, but they took the training. So we're going to talk about that in a minute here as to what you should be looking for that training. But those are the 4 steps you should be looking for training. Location and area of operation, if you're signing on with a carrier, equipment, future career opportunities, and then of course the training. So those are the steps if you're signing on with a carrier. Hey, you can always ask about money, but I can tell you one thing. You can talk to a carrier about money, and they can tell you that they're going to pay you 60 cents a mile, but if you only get 10 miles, you're not making any money. So money is always the last thing I ask for at a carrier. I want to know what the company's culture's like. I want to know what their safety's like, those kind of things. So location and area of operation is important as far as I'm concerned. Home time, equipment, of course, future career development and culture, and then, of course, what their training is looking like. So stay tuned on the podcast, and we are going to talk about all of those.